Why? Why am I talking about a movie that came out 4 years ago? Why am I talking about a movie that has been discussed to death? Why am I stoking the flames of an ancient battle between BVS freaks and Marvel geeks? Honestly, it's because I finally got BVS for the first time just recently. No, don't hear that incorrectly. I've seen BVS before, but I didn't actually understand why this film didn't work until recently. I first saw BVS in theaters in 2016. I hated BVS and I couldn't put my finger on why, so I just regurgitated some opinions from Chris Stuckman or maybe YMS. I don't remember who I was watching back in high school. Now that I finally understand BVS, I want to discuss it. I want to discuss the brutal tragedy of BVS and all of its missteppings and fatal flaws. This movie is one of the greatest, worst movies I've seen in quite some time, and its brokenness makes me so unbelievably sad. I want this movie to be good, because it's so damn close to being great, but the deep-seated flaws it has makes it a bad movie. Fair warning, I'm gonna try my best and avoid common criticisms of the film, as I feel that's boring for everyone, including myself. I'm mostly focused on the theming and implications of Batman v Superman. Lastly, this video is entirely fact and is a personal attack on you as a person. If you love Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, please know that this video was made just to spit in your face. And not to be political, but this video is a tinge political. I hope you're okay with that. Now please enjoy, you sexy, handsome beast. For all you non-libertarians who don't believe in widespread McDonald's own drinking fountains and twirling your Monopoly Man mustache like a villain, you may not know who Ayn Rand is. Ayn Rand, I don't fucking care how it's pronounced. Rand was an author who wrote many books which purported the philosophy of objectivism. Objectivism is the idea that only you matter and only the things that immediately surround you are worth caring about. This would mean you would help your mom unload the car full of groceries, but you might take a gallon of milk from those groceries and smash it over the head of a homeless person because it makes you happy. The homeless person is someone who isn't your friend, relative, or lover, so why give a shit about them? Do what pleases you, and what pleases me is smashing gallons of milk on the homeless. God, someone's gonna take that out of context, aren't they? This is an oversimplification of objectivism, no doubt, and I'll definitely have the philosophy majors in the comment section pissing their pants. Frankly, I don't want to debate a philosophy major though. They have too much time on their hands from being unemployed and will argue with me in the comments for 34 years. In reality, this portion of objectivism is the only one I'll be discussing and explaining because it is the portion that Zack Snyder decides to focus on in his films. You can easily see this in films like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Man of Steel, when Pa Kent says that maybe Superman should have let an actual kid die because, again, that kid is not someone who Superman immediately cares about. It's why Superman will tear through the Middle East to save Lois Lane and BVS, but will not even try to redirect Zod towards an uninhabited area more than once in Man of Steel. Objectivism inhabits Zack Snyder's brain like chlamydia inhabits my ballsack. I mean, Zack Snyder himself has literally gone on record saying he wants to direct an adaptation of The Fountainhead, an Ayn Rand novel and maybe her most popular objectivist work. We can see echoes of Ayn Rand's influence with Superman himself. Superman in Zack Snyder's world often is conflicted on whether he should save people besides Lois Lane. Notice how in these films, Superman never questions whether he should save Lois. He'll do that shit in an instant. But when it comes to other people, he ponders whether he should be Superman or not. Superman is only concerned with himself, those he loves, and how he himself feels throughout the film. Superman, as soon as the bomb goes off during his Senate hearing, fucking flies off to God knows where. He doesn't crumble in grief, something I would expect a normal person to do when death has just surrounded you. He flies off to talk to Lois Lane, a completely emotion-devoid conversation, by the way. I'm going to let this scene play out, and I want you to think about how you'd react if you just saw a couple hundred people die, and thinking that you could have saved them even though in reality you couldn't.
I didn't see it, Lo. Standing right there and I didn't see it.
Clark, there are people behind this.
I'm afraid I didn't see it because I wasn't looking. All this time, Been living my life the way my father saw it. Righting wrongs for a ghost. Thinking I'm here to do good.
This means something.
You did on my world. My world doesn't exist anymore.
He doesn't even identify with this planet. He identifies with himself, his people, and Lois. Let's also not forget how little humanity Superman shows in this scene. How is there no sadness in this Superman? I'll answer my own question, and that's because of Zack Snyder's objectivist worldview. I'm not arguing that objectivism is wrong. Spoiler alert, it is. But I try not to concern myself with whether a film is promoting morals that I agree or disagree with. What I am concerned with is how relatable and likable the protagonist of a fucking Superman film is. A character who is known as the most selfless person, whose magnum opus of a comic book, All-Star Superman, is all about him not giving up and trying to find a way to replace himself when he inevitably dies, just because he cares about the people of Earth so fucking much. The objectivist angle used on Superman turns him into an emotionless, selfish, and downright unlikable god. This is a far cry from the hopeful and down-to-earth Clark Kent from my favorite comics. If Zack Snyder's Superman were to know he was about to die of cancer or AIDS, he'd find the cure, use it on himself, and then destroy the remaining samples. Actually, that's wrong on my part. He'd keep one extra sample for Lois Lane because that's the only person he cares about. I'm not one to care about comic accuracy in a comic book movie, especially if the changes make the film better. But at what point do you lose all sense of what made the character great? The conversations throughout this film are a real treat when you look at BVS with an objectivist lens. Let's take the conversation between Superman and his father on the mountain. The gist of the talk is that Pa Kent saved his farm as a young boy by flooding another farm upstream. There are multiple ways to interpret this discussion. One way is that by saving what you love, other things and other people will suffer. This is a really interesting way to critique your own philosophy of objectivism, but I don't think this analogy works that way. Pa Kent was a kid, so he had no idea what the consequences would be. The analogy gives way to the real message when Pa Kent answers the question, do the nightmares ever stop? He answers that they stopped when he met Martha. To me, this feels like a reaffirmation of objectivist philosophy. As long as you have your lover by your side, then the consequences of your actions really have no meaning. His actions no longer haunted him because he found a bad bitch who can throw it back for a real one. I don't know about you, but just because I've had a girlfriend doesn't mean I've lost all my self-doubts and past regrets. This is because I'm not a robot from the planet Libertaria, where the roads are private and Jeff Bezos imposes a strict spanking on anyone who doesn't use Amazon Prime. I think the one conversation that stands out the most is the one between Clark and his mother.
But they see what you do, and they know who you are. You're not a killer. A threat. I never wanted this world to have you. Be their hero, Clark. Be their monument, be their angel. Be anything they need you to be. Or be none of it. You don't owe this world a thing. You never did.
The line, "I never wanted this world to have you," is another example of objectivist selfish thinking. Why would you want your son to do good in the world? I mean, who cares about the world? They aren't a part of your immediate family, or your friends, or your lovers. I love the end of this scene as well because it's the exact opposite of the motivational talk that Aunt May gives Peter in Spider-Man 2.
Be anything they need you to be. Or be none of it. You don't owe this world a thing.
Lord knows, kids like Henry need a hero. Courageous, self-sacrificing people, setting examples for all of us. Even though sometimes we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most.
It's literally the exact fucking opposite of the self-centered line of thinking that makes Superman unrelatable and unlikable. Being a hero, you have to have compassion for everyone. You have to put everything on the line for everyone. Yes, I know Superman saves people in this film, but how does he act when he's doing that saving? He never looks happy. He never looks like he's enjoying that he's saving innocent lives. Hell, he doesn't even comfort the people he saves. All he does is just stare off into the distance, emotionless, probably thinking about shagging Lois Lane. Take this panel from All-Star Superman, where Superman comforts a young girl about to commit suicide, telling her that it is never as bad as it seems. If this was Zack Snyder's Superman, he would have just grabbed her, put her on the ground, and flown off. No need to fucking talk to her, no need to show her that you care, actually be annoyed while saving her because that definitely helped her mental state, and she definitely won't attempt what she did again. Our objectivist hero is laden with the burden of saving people. It's just so fucking frustrating. It's a bother to do good things. It's a bother to do the right thing. This isn't framed in a way where Peter Parker is burdened with being Spider-Man because Peter wants to help people. He feels he has a responsibility to do so. Superman often questions whether he has to bear that burden. Honestly, this Superman feels more like Dr. Manhattan than Spider-Man, and that's the issue. Both Dr. Manhattan and Superman both seem tired of the human race and want to retreat to Mars to do cool dick tricks. I don't know if Mr. Manhattan actually does that. I haven't read Watchmen 2, Guess Who's Back, Rorschach's Back, Tell a Friend. I have no idea what happens next. Dr. Manhattan is an interesting what-if version of Superman, but here's the thing. He isn't a character the audience is supposed to relate to, and he isn't supposed to literally be fucking Superman. The issue is pretty clear when someone like Batman, who seems cold and distant, still shows more kindness and empathy than fucking Zack Snyder's Superman. There is a scene of Batman from a cartoon sitting with this dying girl who he barely knows, and it shows more compassion than any scene in Man of Steel or Batman v Superman.
I'm dying very soon.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Could you stay with me? I'm scared.
There are a number of other moments that show the objectivism at full force, such as Lex Luthor threatening Superman's mom to get him to fight Batman because Superman can only care about friends, family, and lovers. See, with any other hero, you can threaten to blow up a school or ransack a hospital to manipulate them, but not with Superman. He's too individualistic. You gotta threaten his mom in order to get him to do your bidding. It's also the only time he shows any emotion, he shows any sort of human pain, because you are threatening the one of 3 people he cares about. Henry Cavill is a great actor and would have been a great Superman, but he's stuck playing the new mascot of the modern Ayn Rand movement. You also have Lex Luthor calling himself a philanthropist in a line you can miss if you aren't paying attention. A philanthropist, a quote-unquote lover of humanity by his words. Weird how the person who is made to be evil and nasty is someone who considers himself a lover of humanity. Definitely a coincidence. The thing that pissed me off the most is when towards the end of the film, Superman says that Lois Lane is his world, telling the audience that Superman really hasn't changed as a character through 150 or 180 minutes of runtime depending upon what version you watch.
This is my world.
No, Clark, don't.
You are my world.
One person is his entire fucking world. What the actual fuck, dude? I just hate objectivism in comic book movies. It's antithetical to the entire concept of a hero. It's antithetical to what we strive to be as humans. It's anti-compassion and anti-love. And again, I don't mind if a movie has a different ideology than me, but objectivism is incompatible with the superhero idea. It just doesn't work. It's a walking contradiction. Why would you save random people if you only care about friends, family, or your lover? Here's the thing, I wouldn't have even minded the objectivist philosophy as much if Zack Snyder wasn't such a coward about it. He sets this movie up from both the trailers and how it's framed as a critique of his own worldview, but spoiler alert, it's absolutely not. every conversation I mentioned reaffirms his own twisted worldview that me is best, and the idea that with great power comes great responsibility is bullshit. He wants to critique Man of Steel on the surface, but he refuses to challenge his own ideas. How fucking ballsy would it be if Zack had made a movie that said his Superman was wrong for feeling the way he felt and slowly morphed him into the Superman we love and know? This would have been a great movie if he were actually able to challenge himself. I'm not even kidding. In what other comic book movie do we see a director challenge his own worldview? It's weird because he comes so close to doing this as he sets up this big Congress hearing where we think Superman is going to actually be challenged, but before we get to have an interesting critique, everyone explodes. You don't have to challenge yourself as a filmmaker if you literally blow up the scene you set up to challenge yourself. When you realize Zack Snyder doesn't want to challenge his own ideology, it becomes painfully obvious who the antagonists of this film are. Batman is the key villain of Batman v Superman. Don't worry, we will get to Meth Man later, but I feel Batman is the most important villain in this film to understanding the main theme of BVS. We know Zack's ideology, we know what he believes, and he isn't interested in challenging that, so who is Bruce Wayne / Batman in BVS? Bruce Wayne is someone that comes all the way from Gotham during the middle of a fight between two deities and rushes out to help his employees who he doesn't even know personally. Batman is watching our objectivist hero murder thousands by flying through buildings, and that turns Bruce into an animal, a hunter, an evil monster who will brand and kill criminals. He is mortal, he is a man, he is questioning power, he is questioning our visionary and wanting him to stop. He is the villain. He is shown to be evil. Why would Zack Snyder want the morally bankrupt characters or villains of his story to be the ones that question his ideals? Could it possibly be that Zack Snyder isn't interested in criticism of his worldview and thinks everyone who does question him should kick rocks? Who else do we see as the bad guy by Billie Eilish? Lex Luthor, someone who sees Superman as a threat, someone who questions someone more powerful than him. Congress is shown to be questioning Superman and they get blown up. The media that questions Superman is shown in rapid-fire mode to give the impression that their criticisms are akin to flies buzzing, more annoying than substantial. The protesters against Superman outside the Congress building are screaming, looking like lunatics. Everyone that challenges Superman is wrong. Everyone that sees Superman as a threat is wrong. Every one of these people are shown to be wrong or evil. Hell, even the employee that Batman saves is shown to be bad, which sort of gives off the messaging that you shouldn't save random people because then bad things happen. I wonder why Zack Snyder does this. It's a fucking mystery box that not even J.J. Abrams himself could open. Theme isn't just a topic, it has to be saying something about that topic. Batman v Superman isn't just about power, it's about how questioning power is wrong and bad. I'm not joking here, that's the main theme. You see this sort of thing with Ayn Rand novels where the people that question the protagonists are often portrayed as wrong, idiots, or evil. The antagonists of The Fountainhead are those who wish to question and control the visionary architect Howard Rourke. This is why Zack Snyder's objectivism is so important to talk about because it's handcuffed to the entire fucking theme. Hell, if you don't believe me that this is the theme, Lex literally comes out and says it.
That should be upside down. We know better now, don't we? The devils don't come from hell beneath us, no. No, they come from the sky.
This line right here is saying that gods, the powerful, are the real monsters. Lex is the villain, which means his philosophy is wrong. You generally don't make your villain correct unless you want to have a protagonist who isn't compelling, which, considering Zack Snyder's thoughts on the matter, he definitely considers Lex wrong. Challenging power is bad and wrong. Thinking power is bad is wrong. The two most important antagonistic forces to Superman in this film, those being Lex and Bruce, are so fucking twisted, it's insane. Zack Snyder wants you to correlate criticism of his ideology, correlate challenging power with being morally bad. No character who challenges Superman in this film is redeemable when they are challenging Superman. You want to know when Batman becomes a good guy and he's learned his lesson? When he stops challenging Superman. You know what happens to Lex, who never stops challenging Superman and is actively trying to control and discredit power? He is shaved bald. The worst punishment known to man. I'm clearly kidding. He's punished with prison time and somehow becoming more cracked out and insane. Zack Snyder was so close to making Batman and Lex Luthor work if he had thought to set up a dichotomy between the two in a way that wasn't stupid. With how the film stands, Lex Luthor may be the most sane character. He is the one that understands that you can get Superman to do anything by threatening his family. Superman would destroy the entire nation of South Africa if this meant his mom or Lois could live. How do we fix this issue though? Don't make the difference be in how they either redeem or don't redeem themselves. Let's instead make the difference in how they approach challenging that power. You turn Batman into the hero and have both of them taking on Superman, one of them doing it the right way and the other doing it in a way that is morally reprehensible. You can then make your film about how to tackle authority and power in a way that makes actual progress. That's a much more interesting and less corrupting theme than criticism of those in powerful positions is wrong and you are stinky if you do so. Or at the very least, make Batman less evil and murdery. That might help a little bit. I'm honestly not even interested in how Batman killing doesn't work because he doesn't stop killing after he realizes what a meanie he has been the whole film, because that's an issue that's been talked about to death. Don't get me wrong, Batman absolutely should not be killing after he realizes, oh, our mommy's got the same name. I mean, holy shit, how can you fuck up a character arc that badly? It's like if they made Darth Vader continue to battle his son after he throws the Emperor down the shaft hole in Return of the Jedi. Back to the topic at hand, I know I've talked about why questioning power being bad is the theme, but also let me explain very briefly why that theme doesn't work at all. One, I think it's morally disgusting, but again, I said I don't judge movies on whether I agree or disagree with its theme, but more importantly, it's just not compelling. In what movies do you want to see the main characters not accepting the status quo and being told that they are wrong, and then the movie telling us that we are wrong if we challenge the status quo? Everyone loves an underdog story.
Everyone loves a good comeback story, right? Seabiscuit, the Mighty Ducks,
Robert Downey Jr., who
Rocky.
else? Yes.
Kim Kardashian.
Well,
in the video she gets cum on her back, I think.
Everyone wants to see the rookie team come from behind and win it all. It's why no one likes seeing the Patriots win the Super Bowl every year. So in what world do I want to watch a movie where the two underdogs are evil and are told they are wrong by the film itself for attempting to disrupt the power balance? I can't put it any other way than it's just not compelling to watch. Why does the third act exist? This is a genuine question, by the way. This may be one of the most pointless third acts in the history of film. I would say the end of the second act is when Batman decides not to kill Superman. The film is enough of a mess, it's hard to tell when acts begin and end, but I think that's where he intended the second act to stop. So, what happens in the third act? Doomsday is created, Batman saves Martha Kent, Doomsday fight, and Superman dies. Now, what the fuck do any of these actions have anything to do with the theme? The only action that has anything to do with anything is Superman sacrificing himself. This seems like a spit in the face to my objectivist talks I've done so far, but this is one surface level action that does not undo the entire film. It does not undo the moment that happens very shortly before that where Superman says Lois fucking Lane is his world.
You are my world.
Superman is technically sacrificing himself for the world. It's just that Lois Lane is his world. This is a pseudo-selfless action and is really doing nothing to service anyone or anything. But outside this one quote-unquote selfless action, why does this exist? You could have Superman sacrifice himself in the Batman fight and accomplish the exact same effect. The fight between Batman and Superman has thematic significance. I know it seems like mindless punching, but I'm not kidding. This actually has a lot to do with the theme somehow. Batman is challenging authority and realizes he is wrong in doing so. Yes, it's a dumb theme, but at least it's something of substance. Bad substance, but still substance. The Trinity fighting Doomsday has no significance, none, zero, zilch, nada. I've spent hours, I'm not joking, hours trying to figure out what the thematic importance is found in this fight. It's the most pointless thing in this film. I cannot wrap my brain around why this was added except to extend the runtime and to kill Superman in a pseudo-heroic way. Also, quick question, what does Wonder Woman being here add to the narrative? She isn't involved in the theme, she isn't involved in shit except the final fight. They honestly wasted a pretty important moment in Wonder Woman history by just shoehorning her into the film rather than giving her some purpose. I think removing the third act trims the fat of this film and would force Zack Snyder to quicken the pace of things, so the film as a whole feels less lethargic. Me personally, I feel everything needs to fit together both technically and figuratively. Often I feel Zack Snyder is concerned with the figurative aspects while failing to deliver those figurative aspects in a compelling way, which is why it's odd that he completely abandons his theming and messaging for most of the third act. If I were to be honest, this portion of the film feels like something Warner Brothers forced him to add in. The Doomsday fight just doesn't feel right in this film. It seems like a sneaky rodent man placed this chunk into BVS without anyone knowing. We can only dream of a 2-hour snappy Batman v Superman that doesn't beat itself to death during the final lap of a race. Think about your favorite films. You like some Back to the Future Part 2, the best one of the trilogy? What about some Empire Strikes Back? Maybe some cool cat kid superhero is your poison of choice. All these films have subtext. Subtext is just anything that isn't explicitly said in the piece of media you are consuming. For example, some subtext would be in the movie Hereditary with Alex Wolff's character. He never outright says he feels guilty for what happens to one of his family members, but you can correlate this feeling to this character through his actions, through his panic attacks, through his breakdown in the car, and him forcing himself to listen to his mother grieve. He is trying to atone for his sins because of the shame he has. But ultimately, he cannot live with his guilt, and tries to pass the blame elsewhere. This leads to him becoming vulnerable, and his vulnerability is very important in that movie for the central narrative. Almost every good movie will have ample amounts of subtext, information that we can take away without needing to be spoon-fed like little diaper babies. Oh, time for your baby food, you little baby. So what sort of subtext is happening in BVS? There is no subtext in BVS. Okay, that's intentionally hyperbolic for the sake of a hoo-hoo ha-ha moment, but really BVS goes out of its way to make sure every audience member understands the theme. Oh, you're gonna be able to write a 5-page analysis on BVS and you're gonna like it, little boy. Joke's on you, Zach, I've written a 40-page paper on your movie, get fucked. Often the main ideas will be conveyed by Zach in clunky analogies that are almost subtext, but not quite. For example, quote, if God is all good, end quote, and, quote, devils don't come from hell below us, end quote, or a myriad of other dialogue selections. While not necessarily an analogy, I think the Diana Bruce scene in the museum is a great example of the lack of subtext in Batman v Superman. Bruce says he has known a few women like Diana, and she responds, quote, you've never known anyone like me, end quote. Here's the thing, the exact same effect can be accomplished without any dialogue. We are already intrigued by this mystery character, and know she isn't exactly normal by how she behaves. So why do we need dialogue here when a simple laugh or facial expression could have done the trick, especially dialogue that doesn't sound natural? This is often why Zack's films feel pretentious, because instead of allowing the viewer to come to their own conclusion, he instead presents the info outright to the audience in some sort of grandiose way. Everything that is communicated by the dialogue here can be achieved without it, which makes her line completely pointless. How do we get subtext right in a piece of comic book media? Let's look at Luke Cage. Cottonmouth, one of the antagonists of the first season, is interrogating an individual. He stands in front of this photo of Biggie Smalls, showing his position of power and dominance to the audience.
You like my Biggie photo? Me too. You know what draws your eye when you look at that? The crown. Wanna know why? Because everybody wants to be the king.
Perfect dialogue for the scene. Everything that needs to be communicated is communicated non-verbally and verbally. He never has to say, I am the king, or I am in charge, or provide some sort of dialogue that directly implies that he thinks he is a king. Dialogue used to communicate a theme or a bigger idea isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it becomes a bad thing when it's used in place of having subtext. I know this may sound like a nitpick, but this sort of issue is ever present in BVS. Let's take for example Lex saying, now God bends to my will, instead of just having the imagery of him kneeling communicate the exact same sentiment. You also have Lex saying, devils don't come from hell below us, they come from the sky, instead of having us just see the painting and say something less clunky like, this should be flipped, or why the fuck would my dad spend human money on art when you can browse deviant art for free? You also have Alfred talking about how anger turns good men cruel right in front of Bruce instead of, you know, just letting the film show us that because it literally shows us that throughout the flick. Often I feel Zack Snyder tries to idiot-proof his movies, but honestly that feels insulting to me. Your average audience member can pick up on your themes without you shouting it at them. There is one piece of subtext that I actually like a lot. Bruce is talking to Alfred and he is talking about how the Waynes built their fortune, what they were originally. Bruce says that the first Waynes were hunters. You need the dialogue here to communicate the idea that Zack wants to get across. I know the differences in these scenes may not seem drastic, but it's all in how they present that subtext, or in most cases, just text. With any of the other dialogue selections I mentioned, that dialogue isn't necessary to the scene at all. You want your movie to feel lean, not stuck with a bunch of fat. A bunch of fat that BVS seems to carry around on its body like it's going out of style. It's actually sad because I'm sometimes interested in the ideas of Batman v Superman, but the delivery sours me on the whole experience. Alexander Luthor, Lex. One of the greatest mistreatments of a villain we've had in quite some time. I want you to think of some of your favorite people that oppose the protagonist or serve as a conflicting force in the story. For me, those include people like Gendu Ikari, Joker from The Dark Knight, Agent Smith, or Lashif. What do these characters all have in common? They are never taken for jokes or portrayed as wacky, silly people. There is a certain amount of respect given to these characters by the filmmakers that give them their power over the audience. Let me describe a villain to you, and let's see if it sounds good. An abused, frightened boy inherits the company that his domineering father previously owned. This frightened boy now suddenly has gained the power that his father stole away from him. He now feels safe until the arrival of an all-powerful demigod, who can inflict the same fatherly wrath upon him if left unchecked. He clings to the control he has over himself and the world, and in doing so, seals his fallen fate as a villain. Doesn't that sound good, or interesting at least? Is that what pops into your head when you think of Zack Snyder's Lex Luthor? Fuck no, you think of this.
It's Jerry.
Or this.
But a bill cannot be a wrong! He's hungry. He's found us. And he's coming!
Or a myriad of other scenes where Lex Luthor takes on the role of Lewis Carroll's Mad Hatter. You can have this insanity burst out of him if you do it properly. Take Agent Smith, who I referenced earlier. You probably all remember him for his cool demeanor even under the most intense pressure, but my favorite scene in that film is when he cracks. He finally breaks.
Taste your stink. Every time I do, I fear that I've somehow been infected by it. It's repulsive, isn't it? I must get out of here. I must get free.
This adds so many layers to his character and weirdly humanizes a previously thought inhuman object. Having Lex show his insanity in moments like a short burst of water rather than a fucking constant shower would be so beneficial to his character and the film as a whole. I also must say, in an ultra-serious Batman v Superman, how does Smokes McCrack fit into the tone of this film? In his current state, he literally has no place in this movie. I think that's why audience members were so jarred by his portrayal, because he stood out so bizarrely in comparison to everyone else, especially Stoneface Henry Cavill. Say what you will about Arnold's Mr. Freeze, but at least he fit the tone of his own film. Did I just say that Arnold Schwarzenegger as iconic Batman antagonist Mr. Freeze is a better villain than Zack's Lex Luthor? No, I'm saying that Arnold's Frosty Boy is a better villain than any other comic book movie antagonist. I mean, who else can deliver this somber and bittersweet line with such fragrant and vivid emotion? I'm only talking about this because people wanted my thoughts on this, and I think I may have a different way of fixing this scene than most people think I would have. This scene is actually almost good. That sounds weird to say. Yeah, it definitely feels weird to say that. Here's the thing. Batman realizing that this godlike figure, this alien, is just like you and me because he's crying for his mom on his deathbed, that's powerful. That's heartfelt. And that's emotional. That's not what's happening here. Superman, who doesn't really look all that beaten in his facial expressions, is asking Batman to save Martha. This is weird on two accounts. One, as I said, Superman's facial expressions here are extremely weird and don't invoke sympathy out of the audience. Two, he is saying his mom's name, which sounds fucking bizarre. This scene can be fixed really easily. Have Superman really beaten down, have him visibly terrified, shaking. This is when Clark needs to look the most human, the most helpless. He doesn't look super helpless in this shot. Then, as he's crying, terrified, in pain, have him cry out pathetically. And yes, it should be pathetic. Have him cry out for his mom. His fucking mommy. Reducing Superman to a baby, to how someone who's scared on their deathbed would act, would force Batman to see Superman's humanity in a way that feels natural to us. None of this matters, by the way, because Batman ruins this character arc as he murders 20 people in a warehouse 5 minutes after rediscovering what it means to be human, and hey, maybe murdering people isn't so bad, but hey, fuck my character arc, I guess. I think the last thing that I want to mention that really doesn't warrant its own category is the Wonder Woman music. This theme kicks ass. This is honestly one of my favorite out-of-context themes in a comic book movie. The guitar riff is simply epic, and I know that word has absolutely no meaning due to irony culture, but it's truly epic. The issue is how often Zack uses this Wonder Woman music throughout his film. Imagine if the first time you heard that powerful music was when Diana shows up during the Doomsday fight. That's not what happens though. You hear it 3 times and it loses all of its weight by the final time it plays, the most important time it plays. Less is more. Honestly, this simple idea of less is more can apply to the entire film. Behind the mountains of pretentious subtext turned text and bloated ideology lecturing you, you have a fantastic film with gorgeous music and fantastic visuals. Honestly, the music throughout the film, Lex's theme, Diana's theme, and more are just so deserving of so many awards. The visuals, fucking moi. People make clown Snyder for his lack of color in his films, but I think his visual style is at its finest in Batman v Superman. Every shot feels like a painting, an amazing painting with a twisted message behind it. A message that isn't quite working as intended. A message that this work of art desperately needs. I'm so critical of BVS because of the wasted potential. The changes that I suggested in this video didn't take me long to think of because they are simple changes that I think would improve this film dramatically. I just want BVS to be the movie I think it can be. A movie that would have cemented the DCEU as a worthy competitor to Marvel with a richer, more interesting tone instead of ending a comic book movie universe fight before it even began. I think this film is something more creators should seek to make. This is a ballsy comic book movie, and I'd take 10 Batman v Supermans any day over an Ant-Man or a Thor. This is what filmmaking is to me, and you know what? It didn't work, but it's still the product of a strong vision. It's still something. This is Zack Snyder's magnum opus that could have been. A fantastic film that we'll never see. A film that's so caught up in its own broken ideology that it can't see what it should have been. Thanks for watching. Feel free to follow me on Twitch, Twitter, or any of my other social media. Also, click one of these videos if you have a big penis. If you don't have a big penis, you literally can't click one of these end screen videos. It's legally impossible. Have a great day, everyone. Subscribe, hit the bell, and farewell.